Interested in learning about wine, but not sure where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. I'm your host, Haley Bowman, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm a wine enthusiast turned wine educator and founder of the Seattle-based wine tasting business, Cork and Fizz. It is my goal to build your confidence in wine by making it approachable and lots of fun. You can expect to learn everything from how to describe your favorite wine to what to pair with dinner tonight, and so much more. Whether you're a casual wine sipper or a total cork dork like myself, this podcast is for you. So grab yourself a glass and let's dive in. I am so excited for today's episode. It is my favorite time of the year, aka the holiday season, and I have just released my 2023 Wine Lovers Holiday Gift Guide. I did this last year and it was such a big hit. So this year I basically updated. I added some new discount codes and then along with some of my new favorite items that you could gift. And it's just new and improved and it's going to be amazing. It is on my website today. So if you head to corkandfizz.com/holiday gift guide, you can download your copy today. Like I said, this version of it, the download version, it'll come with a bunch of discount codes. I've reached out to a lot of the small businesses and they've been wonderful and wanted to help support and give you guys that discount code. I've also put a special Black Friday offer in this gift guide. So go check it out. If this is anywhere around the 2023 holiday season, be sure you go download that. For this episode, I am going to be talking to you about some of my favorite items in the gift guide. Now, just because I don't mention something that you find in the gift guide does not mean I don't love it. Everything that's in there, I love, and I think would be an amazing gift for anybody in your life who loves wine. These are just some that I thought would be fun to talk about. A lot of them have stories behind them on why I love them. And yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let's get into this holiday gift guide edition of the podcast. Okay, in the gift guide, I have things broken down by category. So that's what we're going to talk about here as well. I might not get to every category for this episode, but you'll see them all in the gift guide. So we're going to start out with subscriptions. Now, this one's kind of a unique gift. I think, for myself, I love these because it's one of those that's like, it feels like it's a gift that keeps on giving, but to each their own. So we're going to talk about a few of these. The first one I want to talk to you about is Master the World. This is one, if you've ever wanted to try blind tastings, this is where, you try a wine without knowing what it is. This is your chance to get to try that. It was founded by Master Sommelier Evan Goldstein and his business partner, Lemang Stroh. She is now the CEO, and this is a wine subscription that is anything but ordinary. Each kit is a curated selection of 6 small bottles of wine. By small, I mean 187 milliliters. So they're small. They're meant to be like a single pour. And then it comes with a tasting mat and instructions on how to use their online tasting evaluation grid. Sounds fancy, but it's basically instructions for how to learn how to blind taste using their format. Each of the bottles has a wrap around the original label that is on that small bottle. So you can't see what it is, but it's very simple to find out. You just take the tape off and then check the label. Back when I wasn't using all my free time to record a podcast and run a business, I was receiving one of these kits monthly. I want to say this was actually a Christmas gift that my husband got me at least a few years ago, and I absolutely loved it. It was so fun to try blind tasting, but like on my own from the comfort of my home and like not when there was any pressure tied to it. It was just like this fun game. I am not great at blind tasting. I think it's a fun adventure and it's a unique thing to try, but I really feel like to be a good blind taster, you have to practice it a lot. And I just like drinking wine. I don't like studying it as much as drinking it. So what I would do a lot of times is I would also invite my wine friends to come try it out. And then once I even convinced my husband to try it as a date night. It was really fun. I don't know if I think maybe I've only ever gotten like 1 or 2 that I guessed correctly, but I still really enjoyed it. They also, so Master the World also hosts tastings monthly. So you can either attend those live or view a recording with your kid. So if you're somebody who you'd like to kind of watch somebody else do this and walk you through it, you can learn that way. One thing that I find really important with this one, with a lot of the subscriptions that do these smaller bottles of wine, my worry is always like, what is the quality of that wine like? The good news here, they never use bulk wine. So when they're making these small bottles of wine, they are actually rebottling the branded 750 milliliters, which is the regular size bottle. So they're rebottling that into these smaller wines, and they have a very fancy specific process. I'm not going to take you through that because we don't care. We trust them. It's a process, so it makes it so that the wine stays good in those small bottles so that it can be shipped to you. And the world-class wines, they're selected by a panel of master sommeliers. So you can trust that not only are you getting a great experience out of it, but it's also going to be high quality wine. All right, so that was Master of the World. I believe you can buy a single box from them if you just wanted to try it out, or you wanted to gift that as a single, just, hey, let's do this. Or you can purchase a subscription through them. Moving on to the next subscription, something that's a little more of a traditional wine club where they send, wine to your door every so often. And there's a big mix. I love crunchy red fruit. This is my top pick. The wine club was started by Jackson Roba. He is a master sommelier based here in Seattle. So he created the club to showcase his favorite wines from some of the best producers around the world. And damn, does he have good taste. There's like, I was a subscriber for a long time. And the only reason I stopped subscribing is I gathered too much wine and I couldn't drink it fast enough. But I don't think there was a single strikeout in every single box that I got from him. And a lot of them were like those home run, like, I need more of this wine immediately. It was so good. So they release a new themed box every 2 months. I also kind of like that they do themes, but they're not just like French wine and Italian wine. They're like, I remember they did one that was like volcanic wine, or like wines made from volcanic soil, which, like, how cool is that? They consider each release to be like a mixtape of wines that they find compelling. So they incorporate a little bit of everything. A common release would be 3 red wines, varying body and intensity, right? So there could be anything from like a very bold Cabernet or Syrah to like a nice high acid, light bodied Pinot Noir. A lot of times they add in a lot of those varietals that you've never heard of too. They also throw in, 3 reds, usually 2 whites, and then either a rosé or a sparkling. Their selections are farmed organically, made with low intervention practices, and from producers and importers that they know and trust. I've seen a lot of overlap between the wines that they have at Crunchy Red Fruit and the wines that Molly at her natural wine shop supplies. So you can trust that there's, some good connections there. I really couldn't recommend it enough. Like I said, I've never had a bad wine from this box, and so many of my favorites came from them. So it's called a Crunchy Red Fruit. I believe it's at crunchyredfruit.com. I'm going to have all of the information on how to find these things in that gift guide. So if you hear something on this podcast, just make a note of it and then go find it in my gift guide, because you might also find a little discount code there as well. And I believe Crunchy Red Fruit ships nearly nationwide. There's just, those few states that you can't ship wine to at all. And unfortunately, they can't get to you. But definitely check it out. It'd be a great opportunity for a gift for somebody who just loves trying new wines. And of course, I couldn't end this section without encouraging you to buy a Cork Crew membership for your friends. Let's talk a little bit about how the Cork Crew started. I'm not sure I've ever had a chance to really dive into that here on the podcast. So the Cork Crew is my virtual tasting club. I've been running it for just over 2 years now. I still can't believe it's been 2 years, but it was inspired by a wine tasting group that I hosted with friends. So when I first started getting into wine, I really wanted to try lots of wines, but that would require buying a lot of wine. And it's not as much fun to taste wine on your own. There's something about wine where I think it's just so much better when you have a group of friends around you, or just other people to talk with and talk about the wine. So I started a wine club. I basically got anybody and everybody that I knew. I was kind of still newer to the Seattle area here where I'm based. I think I'd moved in probably like 6 months ago. So I had some friends from my job that I had met. So I invited them. We had some friends from the apartment building that we were living in. So I invited them. And we even had some friends that we met at the dog park through our dogs. And so I invited them to come. And it was a really great time. We would pick a theme and everybody would bring a bottle based on the theme, and then we would just taste all the wines. I would often try to encourage a little bit of education and teaching them about the wines and encouraging them to look up the story behind their wine when they would bring it to the club. But it was a great time to hang out with other people and to try other wines. It was a really great way. You know, a lot of people in the club mentioned that like they'd never thought about trying new wines, and they honestly found it very intimidating. They're like, oh, wine is for like rich old white guys. I'm like, no, that is not true. But I can see how you feel that way. So this made it very relaxed and very easy and very fun to just try new wines. And so I wanted to take that energy and make it into a virtual tasting club. So anybody, no matter where you are in the world, could join and have this experience of getting to try new things, but in that relaxed and really, really fun way. So that was what encouraged me and what inspired the Cork crew. And since then, we've had over 30 people come in and out of the Cork crew. We're now at a good standing 20 folks who we get together twice a month. The first get together is our virtual tasting party. This is where we'll taste 2 wines, and they're usually ones that we can compare and contrast, or wines that are from the same region. So sometimes we've done like Italian Sangiovese. So we tried a Chianti Classico versus a Brunello di Montalcino. And these are both made with the same grape, but from different regions in Italy. So we got to kind of taste the difference. And then I did some education on explaining, you know, why is it that both of these regions make the same wine, but with different grapes, and what makes them different. We've also done before where we've done 2 wines from the same place. So like we did wines from Etna, which is a region on an island in Italy, but I'm going to get the island wrong because I always do. So just trust me. There's a region on an island in Italy called Etna. It is where Mount Etna is, volcano. So these wines were grown on volcanic soil. So we tried an Etna Rosso and an Etna Bianco, so the red and the white version. And then just kind of got to talk more about that region. And it really, my goal is like, obviously, unless you have all the money in the world, you can't visit every single region where these wines come from, but it's really fun to just kind of imagine yourself there and learn about that area as much as you can, even if you can't be there yourself. So that is the virtual tasting party. So we just get together, try these 2 wines. I do have a partner who can supply these wines, so you can purchase directly from them, have it shipped to your door. Or the best thing about it is you can just purchase them at a local wine shop near you as well. And I give recommendations for bottles if you choose to do that. The second meeting that we do every month is a community event. And this is where we either bring in somebody from the wine world to learn from. We'll do like a Q&A session, or I'll put together like a fun little workshop. So we've done an aroma workshop before. I've brought in a charcuterie professional to teach us how to build a charcuterie board. One of the gals in the club used to actually be a cheesemaker and a cheesemonger. And so she taught us all things about cheese and how to pair it. And so coming up, we have a couple winemakers, which I'm really excited about. We'll have a Spanish winemaker. We have a winemaker from Colorado. That's like, I think one thing I'd love to do with the Cork crew is make sure that we meet a winemaker from nearly every state in the US. Like, how cool would that be? And then we also have a master of wine, and there are less than 420 of these people who have made it to this level in the world of wine. And so she's going to talk to us about, you know, what was that like getting to that level, and what is her goal and what does she want to do with this after that? So lots of fun things coming up for the Cork crew. In terms of gifting options, you can purchase a 3, 6, or 12-year membership if you'd like. So they can have a specific amount of time that it goes for. Or I also have a class pass option. And this is kind of, think about it as like a punch card style. So you can buy a single class pass, and then I'll email them every time events are happening and they choose when they want to use it. Or you can buy a 5 class pass package. trying to think of what I call it, but a 5-pack. There we go. 5-pack of the class passes. And this is where it's kind of punch card where like they'll have 5. So again, I kind of let them know when the events are happening and they choose which ones they attend without that commitment of having to be in the membership, though that is the best place to be and the best deal. But class pass is available for you as well. Again, go check this all out in my holiday gift guide. There is likely a discount code waiting for you if you want to try it out. All right, those were the subscriptions. Let's move on to the next section here. Now we are going to talk about books. I am such a book nerd. I love wine books and I have so many of them. I honestly have so many that I haven't had a chance to even read yet. Like I need to like just give myself like take off like 2 days and just be like, I'm not going to do any work. All I'm going to be doing is reading these wine books that I haven't gotten to. But the wine books are where I got a lot of my wine education before I did my full WSET exam and certification. It's where I learned so much about wine. As soon as I read my first book, The Cork Dork, which I will definitely be mentioning here, I went to the library and I checked out every book that I could on wine. And that's how I got into it. So all of these books that I mentioned, you can certainly find them on Amazon, but I also recommend you check out your local bookstore first and see if you can find them there as well. Love to support the small businesses as much as we can. First one is going to be Wine Folly, the Master Guide. This is a great starter book for people who are looking to get into wine. I also think it's the perfect coffee table book. It's super visual. It's so well illustrated, lots of fun colors. It just explains how to taste wine, the basics of wine and food pairing. Plus, they have really simple to understand descriptions of over 70 wines. So they'll talk about the grape variety. They'll talk about, what is it known for? There's a pronunciation of it, which is really nice. What is the, acidity, body, tannin level? What are common aromas? And then they show you where this grape is primarily grown. I think it's wonderful. It's one of my go-tos whenever I'm trying a new wine. I'll check if Wine Folly has it in their book so I can kind of give myself like a base understanding of it. They also in the back have wine maps and then wines by region. So this is really helpful because so many wines in Europe are not labeled by the grape variety. They're labeled by the region. So you can look them up in the back of the book as well. So highly recommend. This is Wine Folly, the Master Guide. The next one is my absolute favorite wine cookbook. It's called Wine Food. I wish, I've even petitioned the authors of this to make more of them because it's so good, but it's the only one that I found written by these 2 authors. It gives a delicious recipe paired with a style of wine. What I really like about it is that it's not giving you a specific wine, like a specific producer, because sometimes those can be hard to find. Instead, it's telling you a style of wine, and then they have a whole page usually dedicated to why they are recommending that style of wine with this recipe. And it just really, there's some good education in there. And as somebody who's always asking the question, why, and even in an annoyingly way, I love it. I love that it tells me all of that. And then if you do want specific producers, I believe for each one, they also list at least 5 recommended producers. And then I think in the back of the book, they have more if you're somebody who likes to seek out a specific bottle of wine. Some of my favorite pairings that they feature in this book. So again, the book is called Wine Food. Some of my favorites are the porcini mushroom stroganoff paired with an orange wine, the slow braised lamb ragu paired with a Barolo, and the campfire cassoulet paired with Oregon Pinot Noir. Trust me, mention any of these to my husband and he will know exactly what they are as well. They are favorite recipes around here. And then, you can't go wrong with the wine pairings that they have. So check it out. Favorite cookbook, Wine Food. Next is a book called Vignette. If you want a reference book about wine, right? Something with a lot of information, but that also tells a good story, this book is for you. So Jane Lopes, who is going to be a future podcast guest, I'm very excited for that episode. She recommends the top 100 bottles of wine. And some spirits and beers make their way in there as well. But these top 100 bottles to best expand your wine journey, giving you a complete education of the important styles, grapes, regions, and flavors of the magical, ever-growing world of wine. But she does this alongside her own narrative and like shares stories about how these wines changed her life. I think one of the reasons wine is so cool that there's always a story behind the bottle. And I found this book just really interesting. It's one of those information books that you can read cover to cover because it just has a great story behind it and learning about her life. She is a master sommelier, I want to believe, or she's passed the court of master sommeliers. We'll learn more. Like I said, she's going to be a podcast guest in the future. So stay tuned for that. But life is very interesting. And I just love that she puts a story with each of these bottles of wine. And lastly, of course, our very last book that I cannot forget to mention that is a great gift for anybody who's getting into the world of wine, Cork Dork. I love Cork Dork. It's a story of how Bianca Bosker left her job as a tech writer and went headfirst into the world of wine. I have a whole podcast episode where I interview Bianca and she tells us about all her experiences making this book and what it was like to dive into the world. You're going to love it. She also actually has a new book coming out, which has nothing to do with wine, but she does the same thing where she like kind of dives headfirst into a world that she didn't know a whole lot about at first. But she does it in the world of art. So keep an eye out for that one as well. I'm sure that will be fun. But if you want to learn more about Cork Dork, head to that podcast episode where I interview Bianca. You're going to love it. And like I said, anytime I bring up Cork Dork and somebody's read it before, I just had this happen in a tasting that I did last night where I was like, oh yeah. And then I read Cork Dork and somebody like their face immediately lit up like, oh my God, I love that book. So highly recommend grab it for the wine lover in your life. Okay. Those are the books. There are plenty more in the holiday gift guide. I just could not mention them all here. So go check that out. And there will be discounts for some of these books that I've been able to reach out to the authors. Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a rut, doing the same old thing day in and day out? You wake up, go to work, come home, go to bed, and repeat. When life gets busy, it can be easy to fall into that routine and forget how important it is to prioritize joy and fun. But what if I told you there was a way to break out of that cycle? A way to bring more excitement and adventure into your life? And it involves one of the most wonderful things in the world, wine. Introducing my Cork Crew Virtual Tasting Club. This is not your ordinary wine club. This is a community of people who are passionate about exploring new flavors, learning about different wine styles, and having fun along the way. Each month, we'll select 2 styles of wine to focus on. We'll taste them together virtually, all while learning more about the regions that the wines are from and the grapes that make the wine. You'll also have the opportunity to meet winemakers, sommeliers, and other wine professionals through our monthly community events. But it's not just about the wine. It's about breaking out of your routine, trying new things, and having a little fun. Imagine being able to impress your friends at your next dinner party with your newfound wine knowledge. Feeling confident when you walk into a wine shop, knowing exactly what to look for and what you'll enjoy. Imagine adding a little bit of excitement to your everyday life. So why not do something for you? Come join the Cork Crew Virtual Tasting Club and start exploring the endless sea of discovery and joy that is the world of wine. Sign up at my website, corkandfizz.com/thecorkcrew. And don't forget to use code WINE101 to get your first month free. And now, back to the show. Okay, next up is apparel. You want to kind of show off your love for wine with a fun shirt or some fun jewelry. These are the spots to do it. I'll be honest, a lot of the wine apparel out there is a little glitzy, a little too sparkly for me. So these are kind of that version of like sophisticated, in my mind, wine apparel without being like snobby, like a, sommelier in a full suit. So the first one I'm going to recommend, it's called the Wino Shop. So a couple episodes ago, actually, I think it was just last episode, you heard from the creator of the Wino Shop, Desiree Harrison Brown. She is a wonderful human being, and I couldn't recommend her shop enough to, first off, it's amazing stuff, but you should go support her. She's amazing. On top of that, the apparel is just Amazing. So much fun. And as we mentioned on the podcast, it's sophisticated, but without being snooty. So some of my favorites, she makes all these designs herself, or comes up with the designs herself, I should say. So the first one is a really fun wine university sweatshirt. You know, the style where like it's a crew neck sweatshirt, and then across the chest in like large lettering, it has like the college name or the college initial. I think like Harvard is the very common one, or Yale that you'll see. Other sweatshirt, other colleges do this as well, but those are the ones that I see. And this one just has like wine across the chest written in that same kind of font. And I just think it's super fun that it's the idea of like, what university did you go to? Oh, I went to Wine University. Like, why not? She also has the future of wine is female or the future of wine is black. Great representation, and just kind of shout it out and make sure people know that we are bringing diversity to the wine world. And then there's also a Where I'd Rather Be t-shirt, which couldn't be more true. It's basically a list of some of the top wine regions throughout the world. And, while you're wearing it, you can think about how much you'd rather be in those places. So I shared the discount code on the last podcast, but that discount code will be good through the end of the year. So you can use it with this holiday gift guide. Like I said, go download the gift guide. That is where you will find those. Next up, I am going to recommend my Cork and Fizz clay wine bottle earrings. If you've ever seen a picture of me where I've got my signature wine earrings in, I have a rosé pair and a pair of the red earrings. I also sell those, believe it or not. You can purchase a pair for a friend who loves wine. I created these in collaboration with the incredibly talented Noelle Earrings. Her name is Bailey, I believe. Oh God, I'm going to get this wrong. She's in like North or South Carolina, but I was a huge fan of her earrings for a very long time. I am a sucker for the clay earrings. I really got into them during the pandemic because most of the time people only saw me from like the like collarbone up, right? And like I was like, how can I like have something fun or like something that people can remember me by or notice me by, and add a little fashion to just like my upper body. And that was when I discovered these clay earrings. They're super lightweight, but they're so creative, and you literally like get to wear people's art on your ear, which I think is so cool. So as I was buying some things from the Noelle earrings, I reached out to her. I was like, what would you think about doing a pair of like wine bottle earrings? Because again, a lot of the earrings that I see out there, they're just like very glitzy, which is great for those people who that works with their style. I am not very glitzy, so I needed something that was like toned down, but still fun and creative. So she helped me put together these wine bottle earrings. And like I said, we have the red pair and the rosé pair available. They're on my website under shop. They're polymer clay, so super lightweight, very fun and creative. You'll love them. Okay, that was apparel. Let's move on to the next section, which is games. I love a good game, though everybody will tell you I'm not a sore loser, but I do really like winning. So it's a risk playing a game with me sometimes. So this first one is called Somify, and this is essentially blind tasting, but make it a game. So the founders, Connor and Jessica Taylor, they created Somify as a way to study for the certified sommelier exam, but they wanted to make studying less, just like sitting, at home by yourself, sipping wine, spitting it out, writing something down, and just imagine how awful that sounds. Like, not a fan. They wanted to make it like a fun, bougie game night. So they thought about building this game. And this way, you're still doing the studying, you're still learning how to taste the wine, but you're having some fun. So I do own this game. My husband and I played it the other night with another wine-loving couple, and we had a ton of fun. Me and the other gal were the one with like far more wine experience than the guys, but I think we all really enjoyed it because you don't need to be a wine expert to catch on to how to play the game. They have it set up so that they have like a list of wines to choose from, and not specific producers, just like specific like varietals. So like a Syrah or like a GSM blend or like a French Burgundy. I think they've got a list of things, so you can grab a wine at the store, Trader Joe's, or if you're me, you go down to your basement and go, what wine fits the category here? One person is essentially the judge for the game or for that round. They choose the bottle. They're going to pour it blind for everybody else, so they're not going to know what it is. And then this game is going to take you step by step to blind tasting that. And so when you get an answer right, you move forward. If you don't get it right, you stay there, right? And so as you do this, the person who reaches the end and then can guess the bottle of wine, at least like the varietal and I think the region, is the person that wins. So really, really fun. Check it out. Somify. It'll be in the holiday gift guide as well with a discount code. The next one, you don't have to have any experience in wine. You don't even have to like drinking wine for you to love this game. It is called Viticulture, and I am obsessed with this game. If you like Settlers of Catan, I have a feeling you will enjoy this strategy board game. It's set in pre-modern Tuscany. Essentially, you've inherited some vineyards, and it is your goal to create the first successful winery. Well, at least before your friends do. I really dislike games that have a big learning curve. And while this one definitely felt like you had a lot of setting up to do, I promise it's not overwhelming or difficult to catch on to. It's one of those games I actually really enjoy, the games that are like easy to catch on to play, but they take a while to learn the strategy to win, right? Because it makes it easy to jump in and play, and then you could play so many games and like you're never going to catch on to like what is the best way to do this. So you always try something new every time. I always think that's really fun. So like I said, figuring out the winning strategy might take some time, but you should be able to catch on to playing it. Just stick with it through the setup, all right? I'm going to warn you, the setup feels like a lot, but you can do that. Cool thing about this game is there's actually a solo play version as well. So I believe you can play with anywhere between 1 to 6 people. Highly recommend. It's called Viticulture. It's also a really like pretty game. I don't know if that matters to you, but I think it looks really fun. They've got these little gems, and anywho, it's a good game. Okay, next category. I think we have 3 categories left. So we have stocking stuffers, gadgets, and then basically like miscellaneous. It doesn't fit into a category. So keep sticking along. We've got some great gifts for any of those wine lovers in your life. So the next one is a good stocking stuffer. So the first one I'm going to recommend are Repour. And you've already heard about Repour. I mentioned these in my podcast episode a little while back where I talked about some of my favorite wine gadgets and accessories. So this company was created by Tom Lutz. He's actually a chemist by trade. And it essentially, a Repour looks like a little, like a plastic cork that can go into the wine bottle after you've taken the cork out. But what's different about it is that it has a special packet inside the stopper, and the material in the packet reacts with oxygen until there is no oxygen left. So once you've opened a bottle of wine, if you want to save that bottle of wine for longer than a couple days, all you have to do is pull the seal on the Repour, on the bottom of the Repour, put that guy in, and it pulls all the oxygen out. Oxygen is what makes your wine go bad after a few days. So one Repour can keep a regular sized bottle of wine fresh for up to 2 months. And you can use that same Repour multiple times on the same bottle and enjoy your wine until the bottle is empty. It replaces the original closure, so the cork or the screw cap, so you don't have to worry about that. I think that's really nice that it works with both of those. And you also don't have to do it right away. So if you open a bottle of wine and you think you might have more of it, right? Let's say you pour yourself a glass and then you get to doing whatever you're doing that evening, and then turns out you really only had that one glass and you don't plan on drinking for another week or so or finishing that bottle. You can go ahead and put a Repour in at that point and it'll still be good for 2 months. It's a great low cost option. You can buy them. So I thought of this as a stocking stuffer. You can buy them even in like a 4 or a 10 pack. And so it's a great way to, keep your wine good if you're not drinking the full bottle, or if you're like me and you open lots of bottles at once and you want to save those wines so you don't have to toss them. All right. So that was Repour. The other stocking stuffer is going to come from WineWash Co. This company was created by a friend of mine that I met on social media. Her name is Erica. She was sick of hand washing her wine glasses, but even her dishwasher safe glasses were a hazard in the dishwasher because she was worried they would fall over, they would break. So she made countless and countless designs and prototypes and finally came up with the winner, which she calls a WineWash. It's this little gadget that hooks onto the side of your dishwasher rack, and then you put the other side of it hooks to the stem of your wine glass. In this way, you can wash your dishwasher safe wine glasses without worrying about them falling over. I think it's an absolutely genius invention. We use it all the time for washing our wine glasses. And not only does she have this cool little gadget, but she has a bunch of other fun stocking stuffers that you could find for wine lovers. Everything from cleaning gloves, these adorable wine bottle shaped sponges with fun little sayings on them, the Tipsy kitchen towel collection. They're so cute and so much fun, and more. She's always coming up with new stuff. I highly recommend checking out her stuff. So that is WineWash Co. And I know I have a discount in the holiday gift guide for that one. So you should check that out. Okay, we're down to the last two sections here. So here we go. So this one is gadgets. I love a good wine gadget, but there are plenty of wine gadgets out there that I think are completely ridiculous. So I've highlighted my favorite wine gadgets. So two of them that I want to talk about in this podcast. You've heard me talk about them before, but I'm going to keep talking about them because I think they're amazing. So the first one is the Coravin. This was created by Greg Lambret, and he got the idea working on medical devices. This man holds a Master's of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Bachelor of Science in Nuclear Engineering from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, as we know it as. He holds numerous patents in fields of gynecology, general surgery, cardiology, orthopedics. This man knows what he's doing. He's a very smart man. So it's really cool that he's now taken this knowledge and used it to create something to help us drink wine. Like, very cool. So how does the Coravin work? Basically, you place it over the neck of a bottle. You push the needle that is attached to it into the cork. This is a hollow needle. So then you press a button on the side. This pushes argon gas into the bottle and causes wine to be pushed out through the hollow needle and out the pour spot into your glass. And the reason you would want this is that you don't have to take the cork out of a bottle in order to enjoy a glass of wine. And so similar to the Repour, this is going to make your wine last longer. Repour is great for those shorter amounts of time, so usually about 2 to 3 months. This is great for years on end. I've tasted a bottle of wine that I've Coravined over a year ago, and it still tastes amazing. Because every time you open a bottle of wine, there's a time limit to finish that bottle because it's in contact with oxygen. But by using this Coravin and just, they're pushing argon gas into the bottle to make up for the empty space, pulling the wine out, and then the cork reseals itself. So it hardly ever comes into contact with any oxygen. They have a lot of different versions of the Coravin on their website. My recommendation is the Timeless 3 Plus. There is a Timeless 6 Plus, which is kind of like an updated version of the 3, but honestly, I think the 3 does everything that you need it to, and it's a little less expensive. So it depends on how you're feeling like splurging. There's also a Coravin called the Pivot. It's a good low-cost option, but my personal opinion is I think you'd be better off investing in the Timeless 3 or 6 Plus. The Pivot doesn't keep the wine for as long because you need to remove the cork first. So it's one of those where it kind of brings you back to the Repour, and in which case I would just recommend the Repour if you're looking to save a wine for, a month or two. If you want to save wine for a longer period of time and basically be able to put it back in your storage on its side, get that Timeless 3 Plus or the Timeless 6 Plus from Coravin. And the second gadget I'm going to highlight on the podcast, there are more than this, like I said, in the holiday gift guide, but the second one that I want to talk about here is called a voucher. I mentioned this again in that earlier podcast, but I love it. I think it's so cool. It's created by husband and wife team, Randall and Lisa Pollock. They were even featured on Shark Tank. Like, how cool is that? They wanted something that would keep wine at the right temperature, but wouldn't interfere with the wine experience. So they want to kind of promote this relaxation, slowing down, enjoying the moment, and just, simple luxury. So the way this works is that there is a cradle which your wine glass will set in. And they've made versions of this, but for both stemmed and stemless glasses. So the cradle that your glass will sit in goes in the freezer. When you want to use the voucher, you grab that cradle out, and then you either grab the taller stand if you're using a stemmed wine glass, or there's a version, you'd have to buy these separately because they're just slightly different. So you either attach your cradle to your stemmed version, which is taller, or to the little base if you are doing a stemless version. And then you just set your wine glass in it. And then the cool thing is if your wine starts to get too cold, you just take the wine glass out of the voucher, but you can leave it out, put it back in when you need it. Temperature is so important when you're drinking wine. If a wine is too warm, it heightens the alcohol and the bitterness, so you get more of those tannins. And then if a wine is too cold, it masks the acidity, the fruit flavor, and the sweetness. So I think this voucher is perfect for helping you kind of reach that right temperature for you. I got one of these for my mom. She loved it so much that she ended up buying one for her friend. They are a hot commodity, really great. And they've got lots of different colors too. So I think they're really trying hard to make it look really nice when you're using it as well. So check it out. Those are the Vochill. And again, I know I have a discount code for this one. So find them on the holiday gift guide on my website. All right, now for our final section, this is the miscellaneous section. This was everything else I could think of as a wine gift that didn't fit very pretty into a category. So the first one is a wine calendar. Now, if you've watched any videos of me where I'm sitting in my office and you happen to see a calendar in the background, that is this wine calendar. It's created by Elysia Myers, and she paints with wine. How cool is that, right? So this is 12 art prints made by painting with wine. I have the 2023 one, and I have a feeling the 2024 one will be going on my wish list. It's really beautiful, really fun, and she's such a lovely person to support. She also does wine painting classes as well, if that's of any interest to you. So it's Elysia Myers, her wine calendar. Next is something called Wine Check. So did you know that Alaska has free shipping for a box of wine to lots of different airports throughout the US? So you might as well take advantage of that. And when you're going on a vacation to wine country, like say maybe Walla Walla, just going to throw that in there, why not? You can actually ship a box of wine for free. Now you could just, bring a box or get a box while you're there and fill it. But I'd recommend not trusting that there's going to be a box there. My husband and I did this once for a vacation, just went in assuming we're like, oh, we're going to wine country. They're going to have like a box that we could use for, a box of wine. And we hit up some wine shops in different places. Nobody had one. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe they're just stingy with their wine boxes and didn't want to share. But this suitcase makes it really, really easy. You can actually order it and have it come with the box inside with the styrofoam too. So then what I do is I usually check the suitcase empty when we're traveling, because again, it's free if it's a box of wine. And I just say that it is a box of wine because it's an empty box of wine, but it still is a box of wine. And then we fill it up on our travels, and then we just check it on the way back, and it's totally free if you fly Alaska. So highly recommend. And then this suitcase, the Wine Check, the nice thing about it is like you don't have to carry the box of wine, which is very heavy. It has wheels and a little handle that you can pull on it. So definitely recommend Wine Check. And then lastly, I'm going to do another little shameless plug for Cork and Fizz. If you know anybody who would love more of an experience gift, I do also offer my private tasting vouchers. These are great for both in-person or virtual tastings. They can choose the theme, whatever they'd like it to be. And then a great way to kind of pair it to make it like a whole experience gift. I could work with you so that you could purchase the wine for them or get them like a wine shop gift card so that they can get the wine and then do the private tasting and we can book it all together. But if you have any interest in that, feel free, reach out to me directly. You can find me on Instagram at Cork and Fizz or email me, Haley at Cork and Fizz, and we can find a way to make like a full little kind of bundle for your friend so they can have a great private tasting waiting for them in the new year. Wow. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that. That is just the tip of the iceberg for all the items that I have in my holiday gift guide. So don't forget to download your copy of the 2023 Wine Lovers Holiday Gift Guide. You can head to corkandfizz.com/holiday gift guide to get your copy, or go check the show notes for a link. I really hope you enjoyed this. I did my best. I don't want it to come across as like just very salesy and selling. I mean, most of these, I don't get any money off of the back of them when I offer them to you. I think they're really amazing, and I really want to share them with you and also support a lot of the small business who are creating these items. So if you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could take a quick second, rate it, and leave a review. Also, if you know any other wine lovers in your life, please share this with them, or maybe, share it with them, but just don't tell them that you're getting them a gift from this podcast, or maybe it'll give them ideas to tell you for which things they want for Christmas this year. So, but it would mean the world to me if you could share this, even just taking a screenshot of the podcast and uploading it to your favorite social media site to let people know to check it out. I would so appreciate it. In next week's episode, I will be answering your wine questions. I put a poll up on my Instagram at Cork and Fizz, asking you what questions you had about wine, and boy, did you deliver. So I am so excited to be able to answer all of these questions for you. Thanks again for listening. And last reminder here, be sure to download that 2023 Wine Lovers Holiday Gift Guide. You can find it at corkandfizz.com/holiday gift guide. Cheers!